protection that became a cage love without a self. Everyone thinks Mikasa's love is beautiful, but the truth is it quietly erased her. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Mikasa's devotion was never pure strength, but a survival instinct that slowly replaced her identity. Mikasa wanted one simple thing: safety. Not power, not freedom, just a place where fear could not reach her anymore. Her childhood taught her a brutal lesson early. The world can take everything in a moment: family, home, certainty. When Eren appeared, he didn't just save her life. He gave her something solid to hold on to, a reason to keep breathing. From that moment on, Mikasa didn't choose Eren. She anchored herself to him. And anchors don't move forward. They hold things in place. What Mikasa was missing wasn't love. It was safety inside herself, so she built it around one person. Her desire was simple: stay close, protect him, never lose him. But desire becomes dangerous when it replaces identity. The obstacle wasn't the world outside. It was the fear inside her that never healed. Every threat to Eren felt like a threat to her existence. If he disappeared, what would remain? So Mikasa chose vigilance over vulnerability, control over trust, loyalty over growth. Each choice looked noble. Each one tightened the cage. She became strong so she would never feel powerless again. But strength built on fear always demands something in return. The more she protected Eren, the less space she left for herself. Mikasa rarely asked what she wanted, because wanting anything beyond Eren felt dangerous. If your whole world is one person, losing them means losing yourself. So she stayed close. Too close. Every battle reinforced the same pattern. Fight harder. Stand closer. Silence doubt. She wasn't fighting titans anymore. She was fighting abandonment. And abandonment always wins when it controls your choices. Mikasa's consequence wasn't tragedy. It was quiet erosion. Her voice softened. Her world narrowed. Her future stopped expanding. She became reliable, predictable, unquestioning. This is where psychology speaks softly. When trauma steals control, the mind searches for certainty. Attachment becomes armor. Mikasa attached her safety to Eren because her nervous system never learned peace. This isn't obsession. It's survival. But survival patterns don't know when danger has passed. They keep protecting long after protection is needed. Mikasa's strength hid her dependency well. But dependency doesn't look weak. It looks devoted. She didn't fear losing Eren because she loved him. She feared losing him because he was her emotional ground. This is what happens when pain becomes identity. Your value narrows to one role: protector, guard, shadow. And shadows don't get to dream. The turning point isn't loud. It's subtle. Mikasa begins to realize something unbearable. Staying isn't the same as choosing. Her love was real, but it wasn't free. She wasn't standing beside Eren. She was standing behind fear, and fear never lets you walk forward. This realization hurts because it asks a cruel question. Who are you without the person you built yourself around? Most people never want to answer that. In real life, this is familiar. You stay because leaving feels like death. You protect because letting go feels unsafe. Sometimes you don't love someone. You need them to stay whole. Mikasa's story hurts because it shows the cost of that need. Not dramatic loss, but quiet disappearance. And maybe the saddest part is this: she never meant to vanish. The truth arrives slowly, like grief, and it asks her to stand alone. For the first time, Mikasa feels choice separating from fear inside her chest. Love can exist without chains, but only when you risk losing guarantees entirely. She understands protecting someone should never require erasing yourself completely as a person. This realization terrifies her more than enemies, because freedom offers no shelter anywhere. Letting go does not mean abandoning love. It means releasing control over others. Mikasa faces the hardest battle, living without constant emotional defense mechanisms anymore inside. She learns silence can be chosen, not forced by fear anymore within herself. Identity grows when attachment loosens, even if loneliness briefly screams inside the heart. This is where her love finally becomes honest and painful for the first. Honest love allows distance, space, and uncertainty without collapse of the self anymore. She stops confusing proximity with purpose, protection with meaning for her own life. The fear remains, but it no longer commands every decision she makes now. This shift does not make her weaker. It makes her visible to herself. Strength without selfhood is endurance, not living at all, ever, truly, deeply, freely. Many people recognize this pattern without ever naming it in their own lives. You stay in roles because leaving feels like losing oxygen suddenly, painfully, completely. You confuse loyalty with fear, love with survival instincts, learned, early, deeply rooted. Sometimes the bravest act is stepping back without disappearing from yourself, inside, slowly. Mikasa shows that healing is not dramatic, it is quiet and deeply unsettling. You must grieve the version of yourself built for survival before peace arrives. Only then can love become a choice instead of reflex driven by fear. Mikasa's pain teaches without speeches, without answers, neatly packaged for easy comfort seekers. It simply asks you to look at what you cling to when afraid, and whether that grip is keeping you alive or small inside, shrinking, unseen. Her story does not reward sacrifice. It questions it gently, persistently, honestly, always. Freedom begins when love stops demanding self-destruction as proof, devotion, loyalty, worth. Mikasa survives by learning to stand even when trembling without hiding behind anyone. That trembling is not weakness, it is truth. Finally, spoken, accepted, embraced, fully. This is why her love hurts to watch, because it mirrors us closely. Because it asks what happens after survival ends, and living must begin alone. The answer is never simple, but it is human, fragile, uncertain, searching, brave. Mikasa does not lose love. She finds herself beneath layers of fear, finally, and that discovery costs more than any battlefield ever could emotionally, quietly, permanently. Yet it gives something battles never offer: inner permission to exist, choose, breathe, permission to love without vanishing in the process anymore, slowly, carefully, consciously, freely. This is not a victory scene. It is a release from fear, control. Release rarely feels triumphant. It feels empty at first, then honest, then peaceful. Mikasa walks forward carrying love, not chains anymore. At last, quietly, breathing, freely. And in that quiet, she finally belongs to herself without apology, fear, dependence. That is why her story lingers long after the screen fades into darkness. Not because of romance, but because of recognition inside the viewer's own heart. We see the cost of loving without knowing yourself first, deeply, honestly, fully. And we feel the ache of that realization settling slowly, quietly, inside us. If this story moved something in you, stay with us here, listening, breathing. Anime Whispers exists for stories that echo long after silence settles, gently, inside. Subscribe not for noise, but for understanding, like this felt, shared, whispered, slowly. More stories wait, quiet, heavy and honest within shadows, memory, pain, hope, humanity. They will not shout. They will sit beside you patiently, listening, understanding, staying. Because in the end, she was just human, like you, like me, always.